Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. Today I want to talk about just a story from the Quran about bad things can happen, and you don't know why they happen, and it could be for good reasons. Okay, so let me tell you about the Prophet Musa alayhi salam, Moses, who is the most mentioned prophet in the entire Quran, and in Surah Al-Kahf, which is chapter 18, I believe, and it's titled The Cave, has several stories in it. And by the way, it is a sunnah to read Surah Al-Kahf every Friday. But so during the part where Moses is discussed, we hear about him going on a journey. So in the beginning, so he is with Yusha, which I don't know how you say it in English, Yusha alayhi salam, but he was a prophet. I don't know how you say it in English, but he was a prophet as well, but he was a young man at the time of Moses. By the time Moses was an older man, so he was apprenticed sort of under Moses, and they were going. So Moses had said, "I will go to where the two seas meet." He wanted to travel for the sake of knowledge, so to speak. He wanted to travel for basically in his quest as a prophet, So when they stopped to rest for a little bit, they had caught a fish, and they put this fish. Yusha put this fish on a rock, So Yusha actually saw, this fish was dead, by the way. Yusha saw the fish come back to life and go towards the water. So he was so amazed. Well, we don't know this at the time. So we go on a couple of verses later, Moses says, "Oh, we are very tired now. Why don't we eat? Bring the fish that we caught." And then Yusha says, "Oh my God, I forgot to tell you, it was so amazing. It must have been none other than Satan that caused me to forget this. The fish came alive and went into the water." And then Moses said, he's kind of like, "Oh my God," right? He's like, "That is what we were looking for," right? A miracle, so to speak. So they went back to the rock, and lo and behold, so a quote-unquote bad thing, losing the fish, turned out to be a good thing, because they went back and they met another servant of Allah, of God, whose name was Khadr, and I don't know how you say it in English either. Khadr was a very knowledgeable man. So Moses actually previously asked asked God. I think he asked God that, "Am I not the most knowledgeable person?" And then God responded, "Not at this time." There, because he was the biggest prophet of his time. He was the major prophet of his time. And before the prophet, peace be upon him, there were multiple prophets at one time. But Khadr was not a prophet. But he was, at least that's what most scholars say. He was not a prophet, but he was a man of knowledge. He was given knowledge by God. So they met Khadr, and so then he said, "Can I apprentice?" Moses said to Khadr, "Can I apprentice under you?" And so he said, "You will not be able to bear with patience the things that you will see." And then Moses said, "You will find me patient, inshallah, God willing." So the first story. So they went along on their journey, and first of all, the first thing that happened. Was the boat. So they met this couple, or these people who were very nice, and they agreed to transport them from one location to the other, across the seas or something. And when they got to the end of the destination, Khadr damaged the boat. I'm gonna get some water. Okay, so he damaged the boat, And Musa was like, oh my God, what are you doing? These people were so nice to us and they helped us get across. Why would you do this? And the Khidr said, did I not tell you that you would not be able to bear with me with patience? And the Khidr, Musa said, you will find me patient from now on. Okay? Then they found a little boy playing. I think he was playing with other boys too, or maybe he was on his own, but he was playing. And Khidr killed him. And Musa was like, oh, this is even bigger than the last time. What are you doing? You just killed a little boy, an innocent soul. Right? And then Khidr again said, I told you not be able to bear with me with patience. So this one was, I mean, anyone would go crazy. Like, you just killed a little child. Then Musa said, it's like, okay, this is the last time. If I cannot bear again, then I will leave you. So finally, after a long journey, they get to a town and they ask for some hospitality because they're tired. They ask for food and some shelter. And you know, back in the time, there were not that many people, so I presume that people were a lot more hospitable back then. But they refused to give them any help at all. So now not only so let me just give you a little context about Musa alayhi salam. He is tired. He's a little irked because they didn't help him, and he's been traveling this entire journey and he's been seeing things that are upsetting him. So Khidr then repairs a wall, right? He saw a wall that was crumbling and he repairs it. And the Musa alayhi he just kind of makes a one-off statement. He's like, they didn't even help us, and you repaired this wall for them. You could have at least had them give us some food or shelter for this. And then Khidr said, and he's like, and that's it. Strike three, you're out. That was the final straw, and now I will tell you the meaning of the things you could not bear with patience. So first of all, the boat. The boat was owned by righteous slaves of God. They were good people, they were righteous, and there was a king that was going to very soon after take every good boat by force. So when the king would see that this boat was damaged, even a little bit, he would reject the boat, and the people who owned the boat could repair it. It wasn't a huge damage, but it was a small amount of damage, and they could repair it. But the king would be like, this is not a great boat. I don't want it. He has options. He can pick the boats he wants. Second of all, the boy who Khidr killed was going to grow up to be so his parents were very good, righteous folk, and he was going to grow up to give them a lot of trouble. So Khidr was commanded by God to kill him, that God may give them, the righteous parents, a better son. You could ask, why couldn't he just be righteous, right? This is some things that pop in your head. Why couldn't that son just be righteous? But there has to be, life is not easy. Life is not a walk in the park. There has to be some difficulty. So with difficulty, they will be, oh my God, our son was killed. And then they will, with patience, if they can bear the difficulty with patience, they will be rewarded. And in this case, Khidr knew that they would be patient and that they would be rewarded with a better child. Finally, the wall that was repaired was two orphan boys were going to the wall would crumble, and below the wall, underneath the wall, there was a treasure hidden by the orphan's father. And if they were the parents of the orphans were so righteous that God wanted their treasure to be not disturbed until they were older, and then they would find it themselves, because they were just children. They couldn't, if they found this treasure, you think the people who were rude enough to not give any shelter or food to two weary travelers would give these two orphan children their right. So that's just three instances where something bad happens, but you don't understand why it happened, and it could be that it was good. I can give you a story where I was having difficulty with unemployment, and I was so sad at the time, and subhanallah, what happened is that I got fed up with that career choice, that I decided to pick another career choice that alhamdulillah, all praise be to Allah, that I actually very enjoy. So while I was suffering, the suffering led me to a more enjoyable career. So inshallah, may Allah help you with your troubles, and you will maybe some years later see the benefit of the suffering you went through. Allah puts us through many trials and tribulations, but there will always be happy. There will always be happy and sad, because if there's no happiness, then how can you know sadness? And if there's no sadness, how can you know happiness? So, inshallah, if you bear with patience, God willing, you are patient, you will be rewarded. Maybe, I'm not making a guarantee that you will be in a better situation, but you might be in a better situation. But guess what? If you're truly a Muslim and you believe in the hereafter, then patience is one of the most loved qualities by Allah, by God. And if you are patient, you will be rewarded in the hereafter, most definitely. Even though you might not get rewarded in this life, you will be rewarded extra for your trouble in the next life. So that's all I have. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Peace be upon you. Please keep me in your dua.